That was the Drew Brees got in trouble. Like everyone was really kind of being rude to him about it and stuff like that. He was like, I don't even have to tip. I'm picking the food up myself.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, no. And for those of you tuning in late, this is the BS Report. John Stanko, Kevin Bartnett. We're talking about the Oscars, and I think we should delve into some of the big nominations, the big winners, if you will, in the big categories.
Gravity
racked it up with six awards itself.
And they lost the two biggest ones,
and they tossed the two biggest ones. But I will say they deservedly so won Best Special Effects, Best Editing, Best Sound. I was a little bit surprised at Best Cinematography. I thought it could have gone. I believe 12 Years a Slave was my other pick for it, but still phenomenal job. That movie, it was fantastic. It's in my top 3 this year.
I actually did not see the movie, to be honest. I will say this. One movie I saw that I thought deserved to be nominated for an Oscar was Lone Survivor.
I didn't see it because I knew the ending before going in. That really ruins the movie for me.
Why? Because of the title?
Yes, and the title, and I knew the story, and they ruined it in the poster.
Why? Because did you read the book?
No, I knew the story because it had been told to me in a history class before.
You have to really see the movie. It's a very powerful movie. It's very motivating. Honestly, if you thought that you were brave and stuff like that, and if you want to see real courage and real bravery, that's a great movie to see.
Again,
I was mind blown by it.
I heard it was good, but people said it was better than Saving Private Ryan, and I'm like, no.
I'll say that it definitely was not better than Saving Private Ryan, but it'll be right up there with that in terms of the great war movies of the last era. It's definitely, I think, in the top 5 of war movies of the last era.
I have to see it. It's also
I think it was better than Black Hawk Down.
I like Black Hawk Down a lot.
Better than Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor I didn't like. It was Michael Bay.
It was very accurate though, Pearl Harbor.
I don't care. It's Michael Bay. No.
You're not a Michael Bay fan.
I'm not. I don't even like the director of Lone Survivor because he directed Battleship, and he's very similar to Michael Bay in that he likes to do explosions and stuff. And I think putting him in a regular war movie allowed him to do that, and it wouldn't be frowned upon. But he's had some bad train wrecks in the past, so I wasn't confident going into the movie.
I'll tell you right now, though, Taylor Kitsch, that was a breakout role for him. I know he was a star in Battleship. If you didn't think he was a good actor, that movie will change your mind. I wasn't excited about him being in it. I'll still say this. I think Emil Hirsch could have been replaced in that movie. Mm-hmm. Emil Hirsch I thought was easily replaceable, but Mark Wahlberg obviously was a star. Eric Bana was fantastic.
Eric Bana, he's used to that commander though in war movies. That was the same with Black Hawk Down.
So that was I thought Wahlberg was great, and Ben Foster, who many people don't know as an actor, was excellent in the movie.
Ben Foster, he is very good.
He was in movies such as Alpha Dog. Stuff like that.
He's a niche actor.
Yeah.
You don't see him in a lot of blockbusters, but he's good.
Very good. And then other than that, though, I mean, obviously everyone was really. A lot of my friends were really disappointed Leo didn't win again.
Leo didn't deserve to win. I'm sorry.
I've heard from people that I never saw Dallas Buyers Club.
Dallas Buyers Club is one of the best acting performances I have seen in the past 5 years. I mean, and you know how much movies I watch.
I mean, people talk about Leo, he's never gonna win. I mean, Matthew McConaughey, some people consider his career like a real disappointment.
Yeah,
for the most part. So I
mean, he was reserved in the chick flick role for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, so props to McConaughey. Right now, he's killing it with True Detective.
McConaughey has broken out. Also, this was not nominated either. A dark horse for me that I would have pushed for is the movie Mud, starring Matthew McConaughey. It was the top-rated movie of the summer at 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. Every critic loved it. It didn't get any Oscar nods. Nothing. I mean, it was more of an indie film. It wasn't big in theaters anywhere, but I loved it, and it was in my top 3 this season.
A lot of the Academy, as you could say, likes to pick. They really like these not very popular with the general public movies. They don't like these big blockbuster movies.
That's why I love the Oscars.
Yeah,
because
really?
That's why I love it, because I hate people who say Transformers is a good movie. How is Transformers not in the Oscars? It's such a great entertaining movie.
That's pushing it, obviously.
It's awful, but no, movies like that though. I'm going to the extreme, but movies that are entertaining but not good, like Fast and Furious, I'll admit is a good movie, but it's not Oscar worthy.
I mean, I could see Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises being Oscar worthy.
No,
I thought Joseph Gordon-Levitt could have gotten a nomination for Dark Knight Rises.
No.
I thought he was fantastic in it.
The only one deservedly so was Heath Ledger, because he was unbelievable. He was one of the best bad guys I've seen in my lifetime of movies I've watched. He was one of the best bad guys. He did, and deservedly so.
I mean, are you going to say Christian Bale was not a good Batman, though?
He's not good enough to win an Oscar.
He's won an Oscar.
I know he's won an Oscar, not for Batman. Just because he speaks in a voice like this, I don't wear hockey pants.
Well, you know what? People criticize, that's the only real criticism, if we're being real, about the Batman franchise with Christopher Nolan. That's been the only real criticism about it.
I love it.
With his voice,
I
Batman.
love the low voice.
Yeah, but he had to do it because he can't handle his Bruce Wayne.
Exactly. No, I love the Batman trilogy. Don't get me wrong. They don't deserve Oscar nominations. 12 Years a Slave, for no one who has seen
think
it, is the most powerful movie, one of the most powerful movies ever made. It was the most graphic depiction of slavery ever.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about
It's
it.
unbelievable. It will shake you to your core and make you ashamed to be a white person in this country.
Really.
It's terrifying.
And Michael Fassbender was a bad guy in this.
Michael Fassbender was a fantastic Bible-preaching slave owner who whipped people for wanting to wash themselves.
He's a star on the rise.
Michael Fassbender?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
But, I mean, I thought he was going to do it after X-Men, but, he's been doing very well with 12 Years a Slave now. It seems like it's going to be his breakout role. Even though X-Men is coming out this summer, I believe.
Yes, Days of Future
Past. I can't wait to see that, honestly.
I was a big fan of the first one with James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender.
First Class, yes. And I was disappointed when they picked McAvoy for that role, honestly. I didn't like him in The Wanted.
He did a great job.
He was very good,
I liked Wanted is a guilty pleasure.
It was a good movie.
It's a guilty pleasure for me, The Wanted. Wanted.
What did you think of... And apparently, one thing we have yet to talk about the Oscars, Jennifer Lawrence slipping again at the red carpet.
Listen, I don't think
this girl can't stand her feet.
Listen,
I love Jennifer Lawrence.
She's pretty, she's charismatic, but she did not deserve Best Supporting Actress. I'm glad she didn't win it, because if she won it, I would have thrown a fit. She didn't deserve
The
it.
American Hustle was a good movie, though.
I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't like American Hustle. I thought it was overrated.
I mean, I knew Christian Bale wasn't going to win the Oscar, honestly, because all I was hearing about was McConaughey.
No other person should have won it besides McConaughey.
I mean, honestly, like, I think Christian Bale, though, I mean, obviously he's kind of nuts off the set, but he is such a diverse actor. He plays Superman, then he plays Mickey Ward's trainer. Batman, excuse me. Sorry. Wow, Batman. My bad. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I mean, he really is like, he's like Superman of acting, He'll play, and then he plays John Connor. Mm-hmm. So he's played all these different roles. I mean, like, he's a very diverse actor.
He is a very talented actor, he is, but he didn't deserve to win it. And again, I thought American Hustle was a good movie. I didn't think it was Oscar-worthy good. Yeah. I was entertained.
They were. I mean, that was a hyped-up movie, though. A hyped-up movie. I mean, they had a great director, David O. Russell.
He was on a hot streak.
He really is on a roll right now. So, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't too disappointed, obviously, because I knew 12 Years a Slave was going to win. Oh, I was hearing nothing but good things about it.
It's unbelievable. I recommend it to absolutely everyone watching, and it should be shown in every history class across the country.
I hear it's a very powerful movie.
Oh, it will make you cry.
Brad Pitt.
I was tearing up at the end. It was so sad, the story that is told.
Now, has Brad Pitt ever won an Oscar? I don't know.
I don't think he has.
See, all these, what's weird is all these big name actors, like, and everything, like, a lot of these guys have not won Oscars.
Like Gary Oldman, Edward Norton, a bunch of really good actors haven't won an Oscar before.
How about, like, Will Smith?
Will Smith's, okay. Will Smith has been on a for a long time.
His kids are growing up now and everything.
I found it hilarious how
Leonardo DiCaprio was a good actor. He was really good in Titanic.
Oh,
he's good in every movie.
Leo is great in every movie, but I mean, the one role he should have won it for was in The Departed.
Yes, and which he wasn't even nominated
for. Exactly. That's the one I think he had the best shot to win. Didn't even get nominated for.
Yeah.
I love.
He was nominated for Blood Diamond, which
I like Blood Diamond again, not Oscar worthy.
He didn't get nominated for Titanic. I don't believe he did.
I don't think he deserved to get nominated for Titanic.
I mean, Gangs in New York, he was nominated for.
Loved Gangs.
He was nominated in 1993 for a movie like something with the title Grapes in it or something like that. That was his first nomination.
I don't know.
You know what a very underrated Leonardo DiCaprio movie that I saw was? If you've ever seen the movie Basketball Diaries.
I don't think
that may have been his best performance I think I've ever seen.
No, his best performance. No, I love The Departed. You can't.
Oh, I love The Departed. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Mark Wahlberg's character in that movie is
coincidentally my two favorite movie endings are with Mark Wahlberg. Are The Departed and the movie Shooter.
Oh, the movie Shooter.
That ending in that movie was awesome.
The house exploding in the background. He's just walking away.
He just does the same. It's very like kind of identical in a weird way.
Oh, it's again Shooter's a guilty pleasure. Because it's a
not to ruin it for anybody who has seen The Departed. If you haven't realized in The Departed, of all the major characters who did die in it, there are red X's actually in the background. Mm-hmm. If you haven't realized it, that's a fun fact about that movie.
I love The Departed. That movie had so many twists and turns.
And I forgot what that was called, but I was in Boston 2 weeks ago. And I saw like the at the very end, like with the rat, like that building. I was there. I was at that awesome place for it, so it was really cool. But yeah, I have for the most part. To put a sports twist on the Oscars, you see that now Cleveland Indians relief pitcher John Ashford was 18 for 18. He put these picks up hours before.
He was 24 for 24.
No, 18 for 18. He tweeted 18 for 18.
Oh, aren't there 24 categories?
He didn't choose all 24.
Who won 24 for 24 here at Iona?
Who?
Kenny Reichman.
Really?
Went 24 for 24. He wrote them down and he got them all right. And I give props to him because I didn't do that.
Really?
But
Axford put these on his Twitter and his Facebook and Twitter about 3-4 hours before the show, and he got them all right.
Good for him.
Yeah, I mean, finally a reliever pitches a perfect game, I guess, or something. I don't know, but that's to throw a sports twist on it. All right, but anyway, an Oscars talk. All right, so I guess we've got our Oscars talk. We didn't really seem to have any disagreements on the Oscars talk.
No, it was. I wasn't really shocked.
I'll say this before we get into sports. I was very inspired by. I can't pronounce her name. Was Lupita? I can't pronounce her name. Nyong'o's speech. That was great.
It was great. Her and Jared Leto both gave phenomenal speaches.
Yes.
And Jared Leto's was the first speech of the evening, and he nailed it. And I was like, good luck following that, everybody.
Oh, also one other question. Have you Travoltified your name at all?
I did. I don't remember what it was, but it was really funny.
Mine was like Kelvin Barzit.
I don't remember what it was. But my last name didn't even start with an S.
I mean, I didn't know because I didn't see the movie Frozen. I didn't see it.
Watch it. It's awesome.
It's better than Despicable Me?
Oh my god, it is.
Really? Okay.
I love Idina Menzel and Let It Go is one of the guiltiest pleasures of songs ever.
Well, but then all of a sudden I was like, wait, her name is Idina Menzel.
It was oh god, it was awful butchering.
But then Travolta, I mean, like they must have spelled that on the teleprompter wrong or something.
They probably tried like the alphabetic spelling, you know what I mean, like breaking it down for him, and then he probably read it wrong. That's my guess.
Yeah, he had. I mean, everyone.
It's bad. There's Twitter accounts now and everything.
To comment on it too.
I listen. I don't know what you're gonna do.
I mean,
I love Frozen. Go see Frozen. Go bring a girl to see Frozen, and you will win her heart for that evening because it is fantastic.
Is it that much of a guilty pleasure?
I love it. I live with a roommate, and my girlfriend sings the songs all the time, and it's just added to my love for that movie.
I understand. Yeah,
it's a great movie.
I'm sure. Yeah, but all right. Anyway, John. So. Let's see. Spring training has started this week.
Good segue.
Good segue, I know. Well, we brought up the Cleveland Indians reliever, so I figured
there you go.
About spring training. So
there you go.
We talked about, obviously, like we got into some real early season predictions that we both like. I was watching some of my New York Mets today, and people who say Curtis Granderson might have a slump today. If today was a sign. He had 2 bombs today.
It's spring training. I'm telling you right now, spring training baseball does not really interest me at all.
I think it does because people say it's preseason in the NFL, it's preseason in the NBA, it's spring training in baseball. It's not like these guys go out there and say, yeah, I'm not trying. No, they have to try.
No, I know they try, but I'm not. I will look at what happens during the game, like who does well and look stuff like that. But I'm not gonna watch a spring training game. I'm not.
I watched a couple of innings.
Listen, I don't know. I spoke to a fellow Met fan who was like, I watch spring training baseball because that the players who are trying for positions might eventually get to the major leagues.
See,
I'm a Red Sox fan, and you might see maybe a couple minor leaguers come up throughout the year, but otherwise your roster's set. And you know who's going to be there. So my interest is not as keen on those young players who are rising up. And then if I know they're rising up, I'll look them up, and then I'll see what they do during spring training games. But right now, all the prospects on the Red Sox who are going to move up already.
Yeah.
But the Mets, no offense to the organization, but you don't know who's going to come up, who's going to go down, because your organization's a little bit more in flux at the moment.
The Mets right now actually have the 5th-rated farm system in baseball.
They do have a great farm system.
And I watched Noah Syndergaard pitch today. He is right now on Keith Law. He's ranked 24 by MLB in Baseball America. He's number 11 top prospect.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mets. I'm telling you, the Mets in 3 years will be competing for the NL East.
I would say give it 2 actually. And if I'm the Mets though, if Syndergaard's going to come up in June because they're going to do a smart thing contractual wise. And wait till June to call him up because they're probably not going to be competitive this year for the division. I think that they can be a 500 team if things click well. They can be over 500. I think that they'll be right around that. They'll be flirting with it. I think they will be a little bit under it, but I think they know they're not going to win the division. I mean, the Atlanta Braves are just really a good team. Honestly.
Well, I think Washington might.
Washington's got an amazing offense.
I think Washington will give them a little bit of a run.
I like their pitching. How they got Doug Fister too this offseason.
Underrated loss for Detroit.
Yes. But for the Mets, what I'll say is, I think that they're doing the smart thing with Syndergaard. What they did with Wheeler last year, you call them up in June, therefore you can have them for an extra year, which makes sense. I think the Mets, honestly, I think that if Matt Harvey can pitch in September, give him some innings, honestly.
I would not.
I would give him some. No, if he gets cleared by everybody, I don't think it's a bad idea to give him some innings. I really don't. And that'll get him ready, so he can still see, not be completely oblivious to when he comes back in 2015.
That's the only way you're going to get fans to go there in September if he comes back to pitch.
I mean, but what if they're somehow in the Rays? I mean, there is always a surprise team that's in. Like maybe the Mets could be this year's Cleveland Indians.
Where do you see the Mets finishing this year?
I see the Mets, honestly, I think they'll be like 80 and 82. About 80 and 82.
I see them between 75 and 80 wins.
I could see it, that's very fair.
That's what
they
I see.
They could be, but at the same time, maybe they never seem to be that surprise team. Of course, the Miracle Mets, maybe in '69, but I think that the Cleveland Indians were, I think, Major League Baseball surprise team last year.
They're gonna take a drop off though.
I wouldn't surprise me, honestly. I mean, with Tito at the helm, though, you never know. Tito is a good manager.
They lost Ubaldo Jimenez and Matt Garza, correct? They were both on the team. No, not Matt Garza.
Garza was on Texas.
Who was the oh my God? Who was the other pitcher on Cleveland? I was talking about it in my radio show yesterday.
They got Ubaldo. That was
Ubaldo who left, and then there was another pitcher. I'm gonna have to look it up. God damn right.
Yeah, but no, I think that Cleveland won't be as good this year. I still think Detroit will be good. Did you see Ian Kinsler's ESPN The Magazine interview today?
I did.
He is really bitter at the Texas Rangers right now.
Yes.
I didn't like what he said about his thing, though. How they said when he was struggling, how they expected him to be a leader. Yes, you have to. And when you're on the team for that long, you are going to be looked up to as a leader. He should have taken on that role and embraced it, but he didn't. I didn't like what he said there.
Scott Kazmir was the other pitcher on Cleveland.
He
He's
had
no
a
longer there
resurgence. He
anymore.
kind of had a resurgence. What team did Scott Kazmir
I don't know.
with?
He's not on the team anymore, though.
Yeah.
I'll look it up now.
But I think that with Ian Kinsler, what he said, I didn't like what he said about how he didn't like being a leader last year. When you are a veteran, you came up through the system with the Texas Rangers.
He's on Oakland, by the way. Sorry.
Okay.
Continue.
You have to embrace that leadership role. You have to, I feel like, and that was everything else he said. I love what he said though. How he said that with John Daniels and Nolan Ryan built that team from the ground up. That was Nolan Ryan's team, and then they weren't giving him credit. And if he was really bitter, maybe he did need a fresh start. And I think Detroit, all in all, is going to win that trade.
You really think so?
Yes, I do. Because they'll have. I mean, look, Kinsler is 32 years old. He's 31 now. He'll be 32 by the time the season comes around. Now in the season, he showed last year he's still a good player.
Oh, he's still a consistent player. But I'm gonna go all sabermetrics on you.
His wins above replacement was good though last year.
His was, but he used to be a steals and stolen bases guy, and then there was in 2010 he had 60 combined steals and home runs.
He was 30-30.
And then in 2011 it went down to like 42 or 40, and then last year it was only 28. So those numbers are dipping in the wrong direction. Now you gotta think that him being inserted into a new place, he's shed 15 pounds from what I've read. He's gonna look to steal more bases this year for Detroit. But I'm still worried that his decline has gone on the decline, if you will. His decline has increased.
Clearly, he wasn't happy in Texas.
Yes.
So obviously that plays a role in it. You know, like when you're not happy somewhere, you know, like he seems like from what I read, what I read today, he's really excited, really rejuvenated. And let's not forget, there's still not many second basemen who are that much better than him. There's definitely Cano, Brandon Phillips. I'd take over him. Pedroia, absolutely. I'd take over. Other than that, there's maybe a handful of guys who I would take over.
He's an incredibly consistent player who you know is going to go out there and give you all. Also, he gives you a ton of pop for a second baseman if he can hit his home runs, which is rare to come.
But I also think that with him and Iglesias up the middle, that may be the best defensive middle infield in baseball.
The question I worry about is can Iglesias hit like he did last season? Because he hit
really well for
with the Red Sox, and then with Detroit. It was what people feared he didn't hit that well. But he still played great defense. You know you're going to get that every day from him.
Did the Red Sox trade him because with Xander Bogaerts?
I love Xander Bogaerts. I have a man crush on Xander Bogaerts.
You would not. You wouldn't take Iglesias over Willie Middlebrooks. I didn't like that trade when first because every time I would watch Iglesias, he was really impressive.
Iglesias is impressive, but again, I bought into the idea that his hitting was a fluke because he was hitting so well for so long. I was like, this is not going to be.
He was on my fantasy team. He was on my fantasy team. Was killing it. So.
Yeah, no, he was great. Will Middlebrooks had a really rough year last year. Right now, he's dating Denny Dell,
and she got fired from Nesson because of it.
I'm aware.
Yes.
You want to know a hilarious story? My cousin in Southbury, Connecticut, knew that they were dating before it came out in public.
Really?
Because Jenny Dell lives in my hometown, Southbury, Connecticut, and my cousin lives the town across from me, and he went to a restaurant in Southbury, looked in the bar, saw Jenny Dell, and then saw a person who looked like a Red Sox player. And he's like, who's that? Will Middlebrooks. They were getting all cuddly, like arm around each other, stuff like that, talking with friends.
That's the actual reason why she got fired?
Yes, that's why she's not on the sideline anymore. And so they went up and introduced themselves and everything, and they met Will Middlebrooks and Jenny Dell, and Mike. I played football with them the next day. He's like, they are together. I'm telling you right now, they're an item. And I was like, no way, they're just saying hello. And then it comes out 2 weeks later that they're an item and that Jenny Dell is in trouble, quote unquote, if you will. But that was official. Crazy that my cousin knew that before. Boggles my mind.
Now, back to the overall state of the Boston Red Sox. Now, what's the outfield situation looking like with Jacoby? You have to replace Jacoby Ellsbury. Obviously, he's good to miss 40, 50 games a year anyway. So,
I mean,
or 100.
The way Jackie Bradley Jr. is going to go into center, he's a good defensive center fielder. I don't think we might drop a little bit, but won't be significant. I don't think hitting wise is going to be a problem. Now Jacoby has had a tendency to have power, but he didn't have it last year for the Red Sox.
Who slides into the leadoff spot?
The leadoff spot, it's going to be tough. There was rumors Shane Victorino will go back to leadoff, though I liked him in the 2 spot quite a bit. I would like Daniel Nava in that top spot, to be honest with you. He works a lot of pitches in the at-bat. He's got a great eye. The question is, will he patrol left field with Johnny Gomes?
Yeah.
That's going to be the question.
The thing with the Red Sox last year, what I said, I didn't say this actually with us last year, but the guys who you guys could have had to afford to struggle, like Steven Drew in the playoffs, the guys who could have afforded to struggled. But like everyone else was clicking. Gomes was a hero.
Ironside.
Victorino with a grand slam in Game 6 of the ALCS. David Ortiz, obviously. How many years do you think he's got left?
I think he's got 2 years left. I think he's got 2 good years left, and then
He dropped a lot of weight.
I know he's still going to be a great hitter. He's the leader of that clubhouse. He makes every clubhouse better. I mean, if you insert him anywhere, that clubhouse gets better. But I honestly think he has 2 good, productive years of baseball left, and I think we should give him a 2-year contract. Finish your career with the Red Sox. You've cemented yourself a legacy in Boston. You'll be endeared forever. So take it.
I'll give you a bold prediction for the Red Sox right now: is that the closer job will go back eventually to Joel Hanrahan.
I don't think it's that bold.
I think that Uhara had a magical run last year. I think he deserves to obviously start the season out as a closer. He's 39 years old though, and now everybody knows who he is. So I think maybe teams might catch up to him. And Hanrahan was one of the best closers in the game.
No, he was.
And he was doing. I mean, I know he didn't pitch too much for you guys last year, but when he did, from what I heard, he was fairly effective.
No, he did. No, listen. Joel Hanrahan was hampered by injury last year. I'm glad to see him coming back. I do think he can bring something. Again, I don't think Koji Uehara is going to be nearly as dominant. There's no way. He might be in like the MVP or most important player to the Red Sox resurgence at the end of last season.
He was dominant in the postseason.
He was unhittable.
And then he picked Colton Longoff. Then Game 4 or 5. Was it Game 4 or 5?
I believe that was Game 4.
Yeah.
Because the Game 3 ended, I believe, with the obstruction call, and Game 4 ended with the pickoff.
That's right.
Crazy World Series. Well, I think the Red Sox will be fine. I think they'll compete in the AL East, which is the toughest division in baseball. So whether it's going to be a challenge to make the playoffs.
Which team are you most worried about in the AL East?
I'm telling you right now, the addition of Nelson Cruz makes that Baltimore Orioles lineup look really
is
scary.
Talking about, and they just signed Ubaldo Jimenez.
Yes, really scary.
The only thing with them is they lost Jim Johnson. He blew a lot of saves last year, yes, but they had Grant Balfour right in the bag.
And then didn't.
And they got him for a steal too, and then something just didn't work out. And then he went back to Tampa Bay.
He didn't pass his physical.
And then he signed with Tampa Bay, the place restarted, I believe. So. That's the only thing that worries me about Baltimore. Other than that, though, I mean, Manny Machado obviously coming back from injury.
Coming back, playing up. Listen, that lineup led the majors in last year with 212 home runs. They're going to hit more this year with Cruz in the lineup. Again, if they could solidify the back of that bullpen, the Orioles are going to be really dangerous. Yeah. And they have the confidence now they know they can win with everyone else.
I mean, obviously.
Buck Showalter. Unbelievable.
I mean, but they're only going to have Wieters for about 2 years. I mean, you need Chris Davis has to have a year like he did last year, too, though.
Well, I don't think he needs to because Nelson Cruz is now there. I mean, it'd be cool if he could have one, like, a comparable, but I don't think he needs to have the same all-star first half.
Yeah.
I think he could be more consistent throughout the season. Baltimore would take that with Cruz in the lineup to provide more pop.
I could see that, definitely. But, Tampa Bay is also in the Yankees. Everyone's, like, talking about the Yankees. The Yankees, I think, may have one of the worst infields in the major leagues.
The Yankees spent a ton of money. Their outfield right now is great. I really like their outfield just because I think Carlos Beltran's one of the best hitters in baseball.
Unbelievable
hitter.
Brett Gardner, I question the contract they gave him.
Too much money.
I question
too much money.
I mean, 4 years. 4 years is good. But
it's too much money.
He's not a $13 million a year player.
No, he's too much money.
I mean, he for a guy who hits 270, maybe 15 home runs at most, and he steals bases. But
I also think the addition of Brian McCann is going to be huge for the Yankees.
He will do. He can hit 30 home runs.
He will hit over 30 home runs. He'll have over 90 RBIs. Mark my words.
Brian McCann is a kind of he'll bring some controversy because if you remember last year he started 2 separate incidents.
Yeah, got in the face of a couple hitters.
Carlos Gomez of the Brewers that started a bench.
Wasn't there one from the Marlins
and
as well?
Jose Fernandez, the pitcher.
Fernandez, that's right.
They both look at which is not. It's not uncommon. It is not uncommon that players do this in baseball, but he really took exception to it both times. Carlos Gomez, he didn't even let Carlos Gomez touch home plate.
Yeah,
and he got in his face. Like, he really takes exception to that. So
I mean,
and that happens. And like, I'm gonna give him a spoil. That happens a lot in Yankee Stadium when they have those little league fences there.
it's true.
I mean,
I'm aware. I'm aware. That's why that short right field, though, is going to be Brian McCann's best friend.
yes. Carlos Beltran too.
Carlos Beltran as well. I think it also favors Carlos Beltran if he wants to play the outfield. It's a small right field. It's not big, so not much stress on his legs. I think the Yankees are going to be dangerous hitting wise. I'm still worried about their pitching.
Ellsbury staying healthy is a thing too.
That's true. That's
Another
true.
guy they overpaid. I thought.
Oh, it's the Yankees. They're going to overpay everyone.
And Masahiro Tanaka is the best example.
Masahiro Tanaka, right now he's your number 3 starter, you're saying.
That's what people are saying his peak is, and you don't give $155 million to a guy who's at his peak as a number 3 starter.
I'm a Red Sox fan. I know what the damage can be done to paying a Japanese pitcher too much money, a.k.a. Daisuke Matsuzaka.
A.k.a. our number 5 starter this year.
So I know the struggle.
Who pitched really good for the last month for us last year, by the way.
The game will last 4.5 hours if he's on the mound.
I think that actually, I don't think, honestly, you could say, I don't think you're one to talk being a Red Sox fan.
Oh, no, I'm aware.
Don't the Red Sox and Yankees
imagine Red Sox Yankees with Daisuke on the mound.
They are the reason why I think there should be a pitcher time clock, honestly. Look, I love watching Yankees and Red Sox games. I went to one last year at Yankee Stadium, and honestly, I firmly believe, though, look, I do not like Joe West. He was right, though. I mean, those games do take a long time. A couple years ago, they are long games.
Oh, they do.
Really, and then when they have no reason to be.
I mean, the 2004 ALCS with the majority of games going past midnight, it's insane.
Well, they also had extra inning games.
They did, but still, the games are ridiculously long.
Have you been catching up on any other spring training? Any other people? I watched a couple of games with the replay. I think it's going to get out of hand so fast.
I think, too. They timed it on ESPN. They showed the first ever replay in spring training. It was like 2:34 or something like that. 2 minutes and 34 seconds, which is a full minute and a half over what they want it to be. Granted, it was the first time ever.
I think they should be allowed maybe 1 or 2 challenges per game. But I think bad calls are just part of the game, maybe. Getting him wrong, but,
I'm upset because there's not going to be many more coaches' tirades, if you will, running onto the field. That's one thing I love about baseball. When coaches get so upset, they just run out onto the field and they go nuts.
Yes.
And in front of the umpires. I love it. I think it's entertaining.
It is very entertaining.
But you're not going to see as many of that this year. I just took notice of Robinson Cano making the comment that Seattle needs to add another bat. I think that's interesting of him to say. New year with the new team, obviously with the Mariners.
And take $30 less million.
Exactly, and that's the thing. You're making demands already. Now, if you're Seattle, you have to pay attention to those demands because you don't want to say no to your star player when his first season hasn't even begun yet. So you have to take his words to heart. But I think it's interesting of him to be that vocal, being new to the team. Granted,
he's going to have to be a leader in that clubhouse, and that's not his nature.
It's not his nature. Granted, he feels he has the right to speak up because he is their star player. So I was interested to see that come out in the public. I do think Seattle will be much improved this year. I think they'll be a much better team.
They've always been having good pitching with Felix Hernandez.
That's the thing. You add Robinson Cano, you add Corey Hart coming off a year of injury. Can he be the same player as he was in Milwaukee?
They've been lacking offense for a long time.
And then I think Logan Morrison, can he have a good year coming from Florida, coming from the Florida Marlins? I think Seattle will be in a better spot this year. I think that AL West will improve. I have them as I think the second or third best division in baseball. So
it's right there. I mean, yeah. Well,
I might honestly put them second in baseball right now in terms of best division overall.
I could definitely see that. I mean, the NL Central last year was very good.
NL Central's number 3. I'm worried about Pittsburgh. They didn't do enough in the offseason. I'm worried that they won't be able to have the same run they did this past year, be the Darlings.
Another team also to watch out for, obviously, when you win 2 of the last 3 World Series going in, I mean, the San Francisco Giants, you can never count them out. I know they had a bad year.
I think the NL West is the worst division in baseball.
See,
besides the Dodgers, I don't see anyone taking that division.
See, I think the AL Central is pretty bad.
You think the AL Central is pretty bad?
Yes.
I think Kansas City's on the rise.
They are. But I think Cleveland will have a decline. I still think that Chicago is not going to be very good. The White Sox.
Yeah.
The White Sox won't be very good. And Detroit obviously I like a lot. There's Detroit, Cleveland, who I think will have a decline. Kansas City is on the rise. Minnesota will not be very good.
No, they won't.
They won't be very good, and the Chicago White Sox will be terrible, I think.
Yeah, no, they'll be terrible.
I mean, I like Robin Ventura, but he did a good job his first year, I thought. But
Chicago baseball's in a bit of a rut, right. I guess you could say.
Yes.
A bit of a rut.
Yes. Well, I'm going to say before we take a break, though, in the spirit of congratulating people in MLB, my favorite player right now. I'd like to congratulate David Wright on winning the Face of the MLB challenge.
Do you participate in
MLB
Man Crush Mondays on Instagram and put David Wright's photo up there?
I know you saw all my tweets too.
I did.
You know what?
I was bombarded by your tweets.
People cannot. I mean, hey, in the end, it was all worth it though because he won. I wish they get something or something like that. I mean, I retweeted any possible things that you could take batting practice on the field and stuff like that. I was like, and I
mine,
and it didn't work. But
hey, no, I'm glad he won too. I'm glad he went over.
I think when it comes to he's the face of the actual face of the MLB. No, he's not. I think when you talk about guys who are the actual face of the franchise, when you associate the New York Mets, the first person you think of is David Wright, and in that case, he's certainly up there. Mm-hmm. When you think of actual faces of the franchise, there's probably only maybe a handful of guys that you think of. You think of obviously Jeter, Ortiz. I will say with the Red Sox, even though he didn't start with them. He was a Minnesota Twin. I mean, but then there was guys like Felix Hernandez, who Wright beat. Wright had a tough path. He beat Miguel Cabrera, Clayton Kershaw, and Felix Hernandez on the way to winning, and then he beat Eric Sogard.
Yeah, I don't know how he got in the final. That's why I'm glad David Wright won, because if Sogard won, I would have been like, all right,
Buster Posey.
All right, I know, I'm aware, but those Oakland fans, they rally hard.
Yeah, and I just feel for Oakland. They lose all the time. I feel bad. They don't have any money, but I hope they win once. Honestly,
it's a struggle in Oakland.
I mean, I hope they win. I hope they make a run at least once for Billy Bean's sake. At least until he becomes full-time owner of the team. He will be the full-time owner of that team too.
At some point in time. We'll take a short break here on the BS Report. Be back with a little bit of NFL free agency about to begin. Kevin Bartnett's going to give his in-depth analysis of that here on the BS Report on WICR.